1. Here's a few of their messages. Blizzard either cannot detect or is not...
I like how he just clicks fly. Alright, let's activate flying. Click. Woo!
You need to do some about the botting situation. I don't usually do this, but please like and share this video about so that it gets put into more recommendations by the good old YouTube algorithm. This sounds super clickbaity, but you're actually not going to be able to believe some of the things I'm going to show you today.
Yep.
Oh, and drop a subscribe as well. That always helps out. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, this has been known off for a little while now, but I wanted to wait a bit and see if I could get together a decent amount of information on the subject before I put it all in a video. Okay. It turns out that Classic World of Warcraft's anti-cheat is kind of non-existent, and the lengths people are going to in order to abuse it is crazy. If this isn't a call to arms to do something about the ever more and more widespread use of botting, I don't know what is. Because people running bots aren't even trying to hide it anymore. It's really gotten to this point now. What has definitely been going unnoticed...
Well, why try to hide it whenever you just do whatever you want? You're like, hey, you know what? What are they gonna do about it? What are they gonna do about it? Just do whatever you want.
However, are the hacks combined with bots, but recently, as you may have seen, there have been several posts on the Classic WoW subreddit showing accounts that are clearly flying in-game. This isn't wall climbing or finding an invisible wall, they're just straight up ascending as if their planet is calling them to go and fight.
My favorite part about that clip right there is the person that just killed those 2 NPCs was wearing the field marshal gear. You know, it was just I wonder how they got that. I'm sure they got that from completely fair play, and then they're just botting afterwards.
Mongold. Let's make it clear to the extent which people are abusing Blizzard's complete lack of action.
Stairway to heaven.
A person here is spamming a macro for ZG boost. They invite somebody, and after they trade the gold for the run, they just straight fly vertically and then go pull all the mobs they need to in the instance, and then run back and forth between a ledge where they fly again so the mobs pat back and forth around the actual corner. They aren't even trying to hide it. They could have at least run halfway in or attempted in any way to hide that they're doing this, but nope, just in plain view of the player, that's fine. That's how little these people fear getting banned by Blizzard. Worst of all,
goes right
I
up in the air.
don't think a person is even at the PC here. This is entirely scripted, from the spam macro to the gold trade and then the pull itself. I mean, the bot doing the boost is so incredible.
This is Skynet. It's actually Skynet, because the bots are so well programmed. They're programmed even to talk to you. Like, give them 3 more years and you're gonna have Moonguard ERP furry bots. Actually, you know what? They probably have them already.
Incredibly undergeared and has a plus shadow damage head from Zul'Farrak. No normal person would pay somebody in this kind of gear money for a boost when there are so many other players in full epics providing the same service. Something has to be up with it. This is on the NA server Herald, by the way. And it looks as though since the WoW token was introduced in China and the value of gold has plummeted, many of these botters are now looking over towards different server markets where this gold has a much higher value. And unlike Blizzard, netties actually look like they're cracking down on botters a lot harder, making botters in China have to work so much harder for so much less reward. Whereas the NA market is so open to abuse that, of course, now they're choosing to make that swap. Now, when the token was first added to China, people on EU and NA got pretty spooked. As far as I understand it, the way game time in China is bought is different and had to be done through third-party sites, whereas now they have an easy way to get game time through netties directly, amongst other things. I don't want to go into the full story on this, but there were some legitimate reasons for it to happen, as far as I'm aware. Just to reiterate, World of Warcraft is not run by Blizzard in China. It's a different company. So what happens there doesn't necessarily reflect what will happen on EU.
So this is how bad it is. The Chinese over there are actually doing a better job at dealing with cheating than Blizzard is here. So it's actually, they're doing a better job. Because I don't, they're not. That's not what people are saying. Like what he was just talking about is how NetEase is, because NetEase runs WoW over there, and NetEase is being more aggressive with banning botters than Blizzard is in Blizzard's game.
Or NA. And no, the WoW token in EU or NA isn't the solution, Blizzard. Preventative measures to reduce the crowds of botters is. Anyway,
Yep.
take a look at this, which was posted a few days ago on the Chinese forum, and yes, we are going full Google Translate. Hopefully nothing is lost in translation, though knowing Google Translate, I may have to interpret what I end up reading a little bit. This is the wonderfully named Hand of Justice Summary of 1 Week Blizzard Game Penalty. Let's take it line by line, shall we? I'll skip a few bits out where they don't say anything of significance. From June 1st to June 7th, we crack down on the behaviors of plugin/cheating, speech violations, and team copy fraud. A total of 124,204 accounts were fined this week.
See?
This looks as though a report about the number of bans that have been dealt out in a week being over 120,000?
See, this is what they're doing over in China. They're actually doing something about it.
That's insane. And we have 2 boxes just below this. In each, the number is the amount of bans. The text is what they were for. For both boxes, they are formatted the same. So the first box I'll highlight here is from World of Warcraft Official Service, which I'm assuming is retail. The second box is for World of Warcraft Classic Nostalgia. No prizes for guessing which one we are interested in. Line 1 is plugin and cheating punishment, 111,355. Line 2, speech violation penalties, 1,653. Line 3, copy fraud punishment. Line 4, game fraud punishment, 154. So assuming nothing is lost in translation here, China has dealt out over 100,000 bans for cheating in a week.
Yeah, that's just cheating. The speech violation could just be people using profanity. I mean, like, we really don't know, like, what that is, so I'm not going to get too opinionated about that. I have no idea, because in China it's illegal to bot. Yeah, well, it should be illegal to bot here too in games. But yeah, of course it could be somebody saying free Hong Kong. I don't know what their rule is, but I mean, like, listen, I don't want to defend China. China is an oppressive, terrible regime, and I feel terrible for any good person that's living in that country. It's awful, and I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's a complete crime. It's a crime against humanity.
In a week. What? That's insane. If I'm reading this wrong, and maybe anyone knows a little bit more than I do, please correct me, but that's how it appears from where I am, and I'll link this page below so you can look over it by yourself and do the translations yourself if you're interested. Imagine that volume of people are banned in China. Just how many are moving over to North America with the apparent non-existent ban rates and higher earnings? This is why botters aren't even hiding it anymore. They just run accounts into the ground 24/7 for a couple of weeks. If they get hit with a ban, these guys are boosting the next wave of bots through dungeons all day, every day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is literally... It's like Blizzard is fighting against the Lich King. Because once you defeat his frontline soldiers, he's just raising more soldiers in the background. And there's just endless waves of these soldiers of the Scourge. And what they need to do is they need to fucking break Frostmourne. That's what they need to do. And they're not doing that. They're just killing waves and waves of them. Because once you ban all the 60s, the guy's got another wave of 59s. He's got another wave of 53s. You know, that's basically it. Yeah, this is a real Scourge expansion. It's classic WoW.
They are already ready to replace them. If bans are coming in waves, then it looks like the moon's fallen out of the sky, because that's about how many waves we're getting right now. Here's another example that's been seen online many times of a hunter doing Dire Maul tribute, where he's flying up and down the ledge.
And also, again, with like the multiple accounts, look at the bottom of that. He has 4. You see how small this is, right? He's got to be running like 10 accounts at a time. That's why his frame rate is so low. Look how many like versions of WoW he has. He's doing this like on 10 accounts at a time. So the problem with something like this, with Dire Maul gold farming is actually really bad. And the reason why Dire Maul gold farming is really bad and like herb farming isn't as bad is because Dire Maul gold farming injects money into the economy without necessarily injecting resources into the economy. Because whenever you're injecting gold into the economy, you then devalue and deflate or it causes inflation, right? But you deflate the value of every single person's currency because there's more currency being injected into the economy with the same amount of resources that exist prior. So it's like if you had, let's say there are 10 soda cans and everybody has $100, well, then every soda can is going to be worth probably $10, right? But if you magically just decide that soda cans, or sorry, you just magically give everybody $1,000, people naturally will be willing to pay more money for the soda cans. It will drive up prices. And this is, and why it's bad is because it hurts legitimate raw gold farming, and it makes it artificially worse than it would be if things like this weren't in the game.
King Gordok back and forth easily enough. Look at how many clients are open down below as well. How do the bots even get there, you ask? They fly a no clip to the end of the instance. I even have proof of this, which I'll show in a moment.
Hey,
look at this as well. The blue bar is the volume of major mana pots on the auction house over time. I'll show major healing potions too in a moment. Now, both of these can just be made by alchemists, but there are always a good amount of both of these within the tribute chests at the end of Dire Maul tribute runs. Look at the blue bar again. That's the volume of them on the auction house over time. See how much this is going up by. How many hunters are no clipping and are flying to the end of the instance just to power farm this place? It has to be a huge amount. Though I will say the NA market tanked at one point, so it looks like something changed in people's ability to bot it after all, but it spikes up again just as fast afterwards.
Yeah,
so all this has been pretty crazy stuff so far, but you haven't actually seen people no clipping yet. Neither had I seen it personally until the other day. This was what made me really want to finish this video, where I have all the evidence you could possibly want in the world to say, Blizzard, do something about this.
All right, let's see it.
I was contacted by a person with evidence of what has really been going on behind the scenes that your average player would have never seen until botters started openly selling runs with their fly hacking. And I can tell you that this isn't even some elaborate setup.
That's how bad it is now, is they're just openly selling the runs. They're not even like, oh yeah, that's not what's happening or whatever, or like trying to bot in secrecy. They're just doing it. They just put their dick on the table and they say, hey guys, look at this. They're not even hiding it.
You can see the general chat going by. I even know some of the people spamming there. And while the footage here speaks for itself, this person is inside ZG and is flying about like we're in TBC already. Not only that, but they can no-clip inside of objects. You can loot from inside the walls as well, which means as long as you don't hit a plane that causes you to disconnect, you can freely herb and mine everything inside the instance here. You think this has just been since ZG though? Wrong. This has been going on since Phase 1. Here's a few of their messages. Blizzard either cannot detect or is not...
I like how he just clicks fly. Alright, let's activate flying. Click. Woo! Just goes and does whatever he wants, man.
Planning, fly, / no-clip hacking. So with this you can basically fly through instances. You can fly underground in ZG and pick herbs without mobs being able to aggro you. And they also claim making 600 gold an hour in the first week of ZG from Bloodvine. You can fly through Molten Core and mine Dark Iron nodes, though it was only useful in earlier phases. You can fly through Dire Maul East, kill the third boss, and then fly underground and instantly mine rich thoriums. You can fly through Dire Maul North, skip all the bosses and keys and go straight to killing Tribute, which becomes so much easier as a hunter when you can fly up and down the ledge, as we saw on that earlier clip. It does make it easier. You know things are getting bad when people running bots and hacking in WoW are choosing to contact a person that aims to expose bots and bring awareness to it in hopes that Blizzard does something about how completely out of hand this situation is getting. I'm not even exaggerating when I say private servers do a better job in terms of anti-cheat. If a new private servers launched with this utter lack of care for the game's integrity, it would be gone in no time. This is pathetic, Blizzard. It's completely pathetic.
It's true. Like, it's obviously completely pathetic. Everybody knows it. Blizzard knows it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. And they just don't give a fuck. Fly hacking did exist in vanilla. Yeah, of course it did. That's how they're doing it. Like, obviously it existed in vanilla WoW. There are plenty of hacks in the game, but I think that, like, at this point, the integrity of the game means more than preserving some sense of similarity between the game from 15 years ago. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Once again, no exaggeration, go and watch any of the private server reviews by Dodgy Kebab, I'll link his channel below.
Yep.
One of the first things he does in any video is test the server's anti-cheat, and the majority of the time, or at least on the more popular servers, he's teleported back to where he originally started after a few seconds, he's disconnected, or he's just straight up banned in the matter of no time at all. How can private servers have cracked the code here? Yet just now we're finding out that people have been flying through Molten Core since phase 1. Some of these are run by literally a handful of people. Blizzard is a multi-billion-dollar company. How many more alarms do we need to ring before the wake-up call happens? And look, there's never going to be a situation where there's never any bots, don't fool yourself there, but that doesn't mean you just let people run rampant like this. Classic is literally such a cash cow for Blizzard, and they're just feeding it poison that's slowly killing it.
Well, that's what they're doing. That's actually a really good metaphor. Is they're giving it like McDonald's, and it's like, oh wow, we love McDonald's, ooh, and they're just eating up their Happy Meals. And what they don't realize is that after a while, McDonald's is going to make the game fat and slow and lazy. That's what's going to end up happening. And yeah, they just need to invest money into gyms. This is what Blizzard has been doing. Yeah, they're turning people into chonkers. This is what Blizzard has been doing for years now. The reason why they got rid of Master Looter, I think, is because they didn't want to deal with GM tickets anymore. That was why. It had nothing to do with, oh, well, we have like some sort of, ethical perspective on this. No, I think they just didn't want to deal with GM tickets anymore. They added the WoW token. Kino, thank you very much for the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Kino. They added the WoW token in order to combat botters. So they devalued, again, the integrity of the economy to combat botters. This is what they're doing. And obviously, like, WoW token has a lot of positives, and there are a lot of good things about it. And it's more of a nuanced conversation. But things like getting rid of the WoW, getting rid of Master Loot has no positive things at all. And that's the same reason why they made right-click report. The reason why they have a shoot first, ask questions later policy now, whenever enough people report someone, is simply because Blizzard wants to save money on GMs. And all of these decisions are just built around saving money, not saving the game.
Blizzard, whatever you're doing at the moment, if anything, clearly isn't working. I know the community gives you a hard time. Whatever you do, the vocal minority is going to speak up, but this isn't a minority. Anybody who even remotely cares about this game going forwards, as long as it's long-term interest, knows that this is a bad look for it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Address the issue, communicate, talk to us. Since Classic has launched, it's just been closed doors.
I want to say this again. I've said this before, just like he did. How many times have you started playing a new game, a new BR, and you have a lot of fun and you really start enjoying it? And then cheaters start getting into your games, and every single time that you die, you no longer think, wow, that guy was really good. You think, I wonder if he was using an aimbot or not. That happened with Apex. It happened with PUBG. It was happening with Fortnite, and then I think they got kind of on top of that. CSGO, it's so fucking bad. They have a special website just so you can play with people. You have to pay money to play with people that aren't fucking cheating. I think that's what Face It is. I'm not 100% sure, but that's pretty much what it is. Then you have Warzone. Warzone now you're getting cheaters as well, and aimbotters as well. And now every single time that you queue into a game, that feeling and that question in your mind, oh, I wonder if that one was legitimate or not. That question in your mind is the insidious poison that kills creative and competitive drive. And botting does the exact same thing. That's how it affects every single player.
Discourse, plan action. I don't expect to wake up tomorrow and see an announcement that thousands of bots have been banned.
Yeah.
So that would be great. Talk to us. Tell us where you are, what you're working on. What have you been doing for all these months? Literally, the only bots you've managed to get so far were the ones that stood in the starter cave in Alterac Valley and pressed forwards occasionally. That's it. You know what many other large companies do when they have a botting issue? They contact the people who make the bots and offer them a nice salary to come and fix the problem, not propagate it. Jagex, who run old school RuneScape, have done exactly this, and their anti-cheat system is far better than World of Warcraft Classics. You don't need a team of people manually banning players all day every day or to reverse engineer software. You just need the guys who make the top bots on your side. This is even cheaper and more efficient than rehiring dozens of GMs if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
I believe detection is the big issue. The proof we now have around no clipping and flying being possible is concrete evidence of this being the case. This isn't an overnight fix, it needs time and investment. Botting is always going to be an arms race between developer and developer.
Yeah.
Hacking, though, is something else entirely. There is never a scenario where a company as large as Blizzard should be having these problems in this day and age. I don't think I have anything else to add. As I said at the start, please share this around. If this isn't proof enough to get action from Blizzard, I don't know what else I can do or the community can do, really. I had another video planned around people getting gold into the game from botting as well, which I'll cover quite soon. Either way, this is getting to a point where we have to expect something soon. This is too much, Blizzard. So I'll end how I started. Blizzard, it's time to do something about this. If you like what you see, give the video a like and subscribe, as there'll be plenty more to come. Take care, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.
There it is, dude. Additional limit of 30 instances per day added in WoW Classic. Blizzard has announced a new limit that has been added to WoW Classic of 30 instances per day, which is an addition, to the previous 5 instances per hour count. As part of our ongoing efforts to eliminate exploitive and automated gameplay with scheduled weekly maintenance in each region, we're implementing the following change to our settings on all WoW Classic realms. You may enter a maximum of 30 unique instances, dungeon and raid, per day per realm. This restriction complements the current limit of 5 instances per hour. Now when a player enters a dungeon or a raid, the game checks to see if they've cleared 5 instances in the last hour or 30 instances in the last 24 hours. And if they have, they cannot enter the instance until enough time has elapsed. This check is across all of your characters on your realm. These limits only apply to dungeon and raid instances and do not apply to PvP battlegrounds. Let me say 2 things. Number 1, let's be honest with ourselves. I don't like this change, okay? I want to say that right now. I do not like this change. But I want to add some nuance into why I don't like it. Number 1, this will not stop botters. It just simply won't stop botters. Like that's all there is to it. It's not like, oh, Blizzard's going to do this and now botting is gone. They're not going to do this. It's not going to have any effect at all. It's just going to change the way that you do botting. So let me explain what you do now instead of this. You just do 30 instances, and then you have another character on another server, and you do 30 instances on that character too. The fact is that these botters, they're botting leveling anyway. So all they're going to do now is just level up new characters so they can bot them in max instances on other servers. It's not account linked at all. It's linked to the server. So look at this right here. Per day, per realm. So it matters per realm. So like, let's say I'm playing on Farlina, and I do 30 instances, and then I can go over to Herod, and I can do 30 instances on Herod too. It doesn't stop bots, but it's going to fuck up a lot of people. So the way that people play Classic WoW is, I think this goes against the way that a lot of people play Classic WoW. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of people who farm Hand of Justice. They farm Savage Gladiator chess piece. They farm, they do jump runs. They go inside of instances and they do like lock picking runs or like chest runs as well as rogues. Let's see, what are the other things that people do? Obviously they do boosting runs in like Scarlet Monastery or Stockades, or they farm gold in those instances instead of actually farming materials. So Maradon, yeah, MCP for Feral Druid. Yeah, there's plenty of things like that. Mara Dagger, yeah, fishing in ZG, Princess runs, not 30 a day. I feel like a lot of people do 30 a day. I mean, that's 6 hours, and you do each one of them. Like, the thing is that, and this is one thing that I want to say, is that this change will affect 1% of the player base. Like, it will negatively affect 1% of the player base, and probably even less than that. So I do want to kind of keep this in context, right? Is that, yes, this is a change that will only affect 1% of the player base. And 0.1%, well, 1% of the 1%, it's a very, very small amount. Here's why I don't like the change. Because you know what this change says to me? This change says to me that Blizzard isn't going to do anything about bots. That's what it says to me. It says that they're not interested in actually fixing the problem. They just want to create artificial constraints around the entire player base and act like they solved the problem. The fact is that whenever I see a change like this, it makes me less excited for the game as a whole, much more so than if Blizzard had just ignored it. Because at least if they had ignored it, you'd say that they don't care. But this is even worse, in my opinion. Let me read what people are saying on the Classic WoW Reddit for this. I feel like this is going to be a pretty popular topic. Let me just pull this up and see what they're saying. Classic WoW bot farm owners now resort to real-life threats against players challenging them. Blizzard sent the player, thus threatened a funny response. Wait, what? The player in question who received real-life threats by the bot farm owner has reported them to the police. Blizzard, of course, just doesn't care. We're talking about an organized mafia at this point. This has made me really mad. Vote up and let's get some big honcho from Blizzard to see this and kick some asses inside of Blizzard. Okay, that's a little bit stupid, but okay. Adding a thread request. Okay, let me see here. So this is the link here. Here's a guy on Judgment who has 15 bots, not even kidding about this number. He is herbing in Eastern Plaguelands and has control of an entire zone for 12 to 14 hours a day. He has been there for months. He uses many forms of harassment against people who kill his bots, obscene language and various kinds of threats included. If you put him on ignore, he starts threatening you with the other account. Oh god. He told me that even if they ban him soon, he'll just roll another because bots between the time of ban waves is too long and they can easily take advantage of it during this time. There are massive reports on him. I have reported the threats to the police as well. I opened up a ticket and received a funny automated response from a Blizzard GM. Seriously. Blizzard does nothing to improve the situation. Even if they decide to ban bots, it'll be too late. Why would you waste so much money to bot in Classic WoW to get banned? Because here's why, okay? So this right here is the profit line, okay? So once you go above this red line, that means that you're in profit. So this is time as time goes on. Time, and this is money, okay? So what happens right here is you start right here. And this is where you just bought the account and you've just started playing the game and you just paid your $15 a month. At this point, you are at you're level 1. You are at the lowest investment that you can possibly be at. And if you get banned right there, you just simply threw away $15. Now here's what you start doing. You run your bot, and as time goes on, you level up. And I would say probably somewhere around, like, let's say this is like level 20, this is level 40, and this right here is level 60. So you probably actually start making money a little bit before 60 because you're able to sell everything. And also it doesn't really matter about, like, the quality of life things like amount, etc., because you're playing a bot anyway. So the moment that you hit this point right here, this point is where it becomes profitable for botters. Right here. This is the break-even point. This is where botters break even with their investment of time and the money return that they get out of it. And so right here, it actually goes, it goes up even more. So what happens here is this is ZG runs. This is ZG runs. This is Righteous Orb runs. That's a Righteous Orb right there. It has an R on it, so you guys know what it is. So as you guys can see here, the problem is that Blizzard is banning here, and they need to ban inside of here. And what happens is that, let's say a player gets banned right here. Well, if they know they can make a new account and get to this place here again, it doesn't matter if they need to get up to here or up to here, because the only thing that really makes the difference between that is scale. So instead of making more, instead of making playing the same character over and over. They just make more characters. So think about it like this. If you have an infinitely scaling system and you have to invest $20 into it and you get $30 out of it every single time, you would want to invest every single dollar that you had, because you would effectively like add 50% of your money back, right? So it doesn't matter how many times you do it. So imagine they're only making, let's say, $500 here. Okay, actually, you know what? Let's be more realistic. Let's say they're making $50. So this is 3 months of leveling as the bot, and they make $50 right here. This is a break-even point. Well, let's say they make $60 right here. This is $60. So, do you know how you can make $120? You just level up 2 characters. So you just level up 2 characters. Or you just level up 3 characters or 5 characters. And at a certain point, it doesn't matter, because you're dealing with economics of scale. And you're multiplying your gain between each different transaction. And if you know that you're going to you will break even or make money as a normal rule, you're going to keep doing it. So this is what the problem is. Blizzard needs to start banning them right here. And they're not. They're banning them right here. And because they're banning them right there, that's why they keep doing it. If Blizzard bans right here, botting stops. If Blizzard bans right here, botting doesn't stop. It's that simple. Players that are leveling up like this, the reason why Blizzard isn't doing anything, I'm going to be very clear. It's because they don't care. If you genuinely think that Blizzard, a multi-billion-dollar company, can't solve this problem, you're fucking delusional. Of course they can solve this problem. Do you want to know why I know they can solve the problem? Because Russian hookers were able to solve the problem better than they were. If you think that a bunch of European shut-ins can outmaneuver Blizzard, then I don't know what else to say. Private servers handled bots better than this. Private servers had botting problems too. Of course they did. And of course it's a more difficult process to remove somebody who's actually a paying customer who has an account, and there needs to be, you know, more people involved. So then you get more people involved. Blizzard is doing what every company now does. They put in the minimum amount of effort, and you know what they get out of it? You know what you guys get out of it? The minimum fucking result. This is the minimum result. This is the minimum amount of effort, and every single player in the game is now punished and throttled because Blizzard has decided that they don't care about dealing with bots on their own. This is not a profit algorithm. This is an emotional endeavor. This is something that these people have invested years of their lives into. This is something that people have spent probably the majority of their adult life, you know, many of those people at Blizzard, working on and invested in. And for every one of them, there's 1,000, there's 10,000 out there who did the same fucking thing, but they've been playing the game, and their love for the game keeps them coming back over a decade later. It's more than profit. It's integrity. Unironically, it is integrity. It is creative integrity. And whenever a company loses creative integrity, it loses its way. Nothing else matters after that. It doesn't make a difference. Integrity is the only thing that truly keeps people in a game like WoW.